Now we get into the guy that I think has going to have potentially the coolest name in the entire NFL, Malachi Corley. And kudos to the very first guy on our list here that actually has stayed with one team the entire time of his college career here. Malachi is I have to call him by his first name. I love that name. I don't know why I do. It's a cool name. It sounds like something out of like a King Arthur book for some reason. I don't know why. It just does. I like it. It rings. Stayed at Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky the entire time. 5'11", 215 pounds, 21 years old. Last year, 12 games, 79 receptions, 984 yards, 11 TDs, 4 rushes for 11 yards there. 14 games, 101 receptions, 1,295 yards, 11 touchdowns again, 11 receptions for 11 rushes for 87 yards. Is a very raw talent. This guy was converted. He was actually originally a 2-star cornerback recruit coming out of high school there. And then once they saw what he can do as far as catching the ball, they're like, "Oh, hold on a second here. You're on the wrong side. You go over there. You're on offense from now on out there." I went a little more in depth with this guy because we talked about Javon Baker being from a small school at UCF. Let's be honest, UCF is still a legit college. It's just not SEC, Big Ten. There's still a difference of what they go against compared to some of the guys we're going to list here in this whole list here today. Western Kentucky, though, that's a little different here. Okay, like you expecting somebody's putting down some Hennessy and playing a little banjo music at that point. You're like, yeah, it's like Waterboy comes to mind at that point. So I looked up to see. I wanted to see what he did against some of the better schools he's faced. Because keep in mind, these small schools, they get paid to get beat the crud out of by these bigger schools at that point. They get paid to do it. Sounds crazy. Like, could you imagine like the Chiefs like paying the Chicago Bears to go beat the crap out of the Raiders? It's just crazy. So 2 games I looked at specifically. This year he played against Ohio State. I think we can all agree Ohio State is one of the premier colleges in football there.
I guess
8 receptions, 88 yards, and a touchdown. That's a pretty damn good performance against them there. Against Auburn in 22, that was the best team he faced there. 12 receptions, 99 yards. So both times he's faced big schools, he has gone up to the task there at that point there. So I was kind of impressed by that. Like I said, usually I don't break it down to individual games like that. I wanted to simply because of the school he went to. As far as pros, he's actually called the Yak King because this guy, once he gets the ball in his hands, he'll take hits, he'll barrel around, he'll move around and shake a little. He does what he got to do, and he is known for getting a lot of yards after the catch there. Great at screens as well. Another guy that's good at blocking as well. This is a guy who, honestly, the biggest concern I almost get with this guy is the fact that like he takes hits like it doesn't matter. Like it almost makes me wonder, is he going to have injury issues eventually because he just takes hits he shouldn't take even?
Maybe because like one of my bigger concerns is possibly like you already alluded to is he's coming from a small school,
a little tiny school.
Little tiny school. Like maybe
if his school was any smaller, they would call it Malik Washington. Oh, I mean,
terrible.
I was watching actually while you guys were talking the highlights on this Ohio because I actually did not realize that he played Ohio, and I'm watching him like. So he went up against Denzel Burke, who is one of my favorite corners in this draft, and Igbignosin, I believe is how you say his last name, and he's doing really good.
Right.
Like they kept off of him. Like nobody was playing man on him, and it looks like towards the end of it they were like, no, the 2 guys on him zone, or at least we're playing a man, and then so I'm watching him now. They got a man. He gets held, and they got to go to the other side. He does a really good highlight package, too.
And you know what's crazy about that, too, is like when you play Ohio State, for example, Like, obviously, we're going to talk about one of their receivers later on. I don't think that's much of a spoiler alert, Marvin Harrison Jr. But they have a lot of good players on Ohio State. When you go against Western Kentucky, your job is stop Malachi Corley. That's it. That's your job. Stop him, and you're good. That's their offense. I mean, so to me, it's fun to watch him against these bigger schools still have success when these bigger schools. That's what their job is at that point. Just stop this one guy. It's the only good guy they have, and they still can't do it. So, as far as his cons, the only cons I really saw when I watched a lot of the film on him, like you said, the Ohio State, I actually watched that film pretty closely, and that and the Auburn one specifically to see these bigger schools. And the only things I see is, again, small school. So you got to wonder if there's some issue with going from down here to up here in talent level you're facing against. That's different. But again, you also can sit there and say at the same point, he's also playing with less talent than most people are playing with as well. So there's that part of it as well, And the other part is, we mentioned already, the fact that he's very raw. Like I said, this guy never played until college receiver. He wasn't a two-way star in high school. They literally had him as a shutdown corner, and he did it no problem. And that's probably why he's the guy that takes hits on offense, because he's used to taking hits. He was a defender. But like I said, you watch him on screens, he'll barrel two guys over at that point and go right to the end zone. It's crazy to watch this guy. Like, he's fun to watch. You guys get some extra time and want to watch some things. I wanted to put up more film on this guy here, but to be honest, I'm always very cautious not to put too much up, because the last thing I want is to get sued by Fox Sports or anybody. So we try to keep it down, try to keep it down to a minimum. But like I said, guys, watch one of the guys who aren't as afraid of getting sued and see the highlight packages, because like I said, they're really impressive there. Yes. All right.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.